Five, four, three, two, one, live.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me in the universe. And as you know, this is live, right? So you can just tell me something in the chat and ask stuff if you want. I have it open. And also, I'm streaming to Twitch at the same time, which is something I started recently. Crazy new world. And you can also join us on Twitch if you want. Your URL is on the bottom, and then we can chat probably at the same time on Twitch. Man, everything's going crazy here. All of the windows open. So yeah, what should we do? So I brought you a little something today. I found something on the internet. Let's see if I can bring it up. This is my little time machine here. Check it out. So I thought we can just maybe do a little journey through time. Where should we go? How about... Oh, I know something. 1993, how about that? 1993 is a great year. I remember I was 16 years old, so let's press the button. Oh my god, time machine! It's actually working! Oh no! Check it out. We are for real in 1993. Old school vintage. So one day I come home from school and my parents stop me at the door and they are like, hey, we have to talk. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? And they said the police was here and they took all of the computer stuff. So basically all the good Amiga stuff, old school stuff. They literally raided our house and basically took everything. So why is that? Well, at this time, actually, I was active in something called the demo scene, and this has nothing to do with demonstrations about like any political things, but it's something that originated from actually illegal copies of games. So people were making intros and graphics for computer games, and those became more and more interesting, sometimes more interesting than the actual games. And this here is actually a demo I made or I participated in 1993, and I did the little logo on the side that you see there. And yeah, so because of that, actually, people were sharing discs, like floppy disks per mail, not email, but actual mail. And then they found my contact at, like my address at one of my contacts, and apparently that was enough to raid the house of a 16-year-old and get all of that computer stuff. And yeah, what you're seeing actually here in the background, something maybe you should remember because we will get back to it. But you might be wondering, well, why do I care? Why? Who is this guy even? What am I listening to? Well, actually, lucky enough, it turned out that they didn't take the stuff forever, and they basically gave it back. And I eventually kept doing like those animations on digital format, and I'm just playing in the background some of the stuff I've been doing in the last, well, you can do the math in your head, like 1993, so that's like 27 years. So you might think to yourself, well, this guy has been doing stuff for 27 years, and I'm sure he has something valuable to tell me, right? Like some valuable information to tell me. But actually, the weird thing is, I completely feel differently. It's like the longer I do that stuff, the less it feels like I have actually some knowledge that I should share. And basically, the feeling is that I'm a student, not a teacher, right? So this is the idea, and it kind of ties in with this idea of lifelong learning. So I kind of wanted to take this opportunity here, and thanks to Filippo for making that happen. It's amazing. To kind of like go on a journey, a little time travel together with you guys, and maybe learn some stuff, because Actually, at this point, I thought, as we've seen in the other talks, it's kind of like a convention of the genre to have like quotes. So I was thinking, well, maybe we can do that together. Like, if you have any cool quotes, you want to kind of like tweet about, just let me know in the chat. And I'm just gonna go ahead and hold on. Yes. Okay. There you go. Oh, it's a little big, maybe. Okay. Be teacher and be a student, not a teacher. And anyway, so when I started out with doing that stuff, the reigning medium was television. So everyone wanted to be on television, including myself. So I got into advertising, doing commercials. And I mean, that was a lot of fun. And this is what you're seeing in the background playing, basically. But eventually, internet happened, and then media moved from being a TV where you have basically a centralized media to anyone can broadcast, like we are doing right now, right? So the strategy changed as well. When in the old days you needed to kind of like get on TV for people to show your stuff, now you can just basically show it, and this is what's gonna also lead to people reacting to it, right? So this is kind of what I want to do right now, and kind of like just share cool shit and then see what happens. And if you like it as well, and if you're into it, you can just basically react to it, and then we can learn together. So that's the idea. So basically the other thing that maybe we can put a little quote would be to embrace the process. So let me just, so again, we're gonna do this together. So we said be a student, not a teacher, and then embrace the process. There you go. Okay, so that's cool. So little bit maybe background. So I used to work at PsyOp in New York as a creative director, and for the last 10 years I led the Berlin office of a company called Seelsucht, being the owner of the office and also creative director, where we made actually this video what's playing in the background, which was for Moderat. And just recently, kind of like getting to terms with this new situation. And I'm not saying like a Corona situation even, but before that, like the internet situation, I decided to leave the company and do my own thing. And again, I don't really know what that's gonna be yet. But I'm excited to try new things and play with new things and embrace the process. So I brought some things I want to show you I've been playing around with. So basically everything you're seeing right now everything's digital, right? So this is made on the computer. So I was really, really looking forward to working with my hands again. So I made a little something here I want to show you. And this is very much in the spirit of kind of just sharing shit and seeing what happens with it and let the world decide if they want to chime in. So basically I built a little box. Check it out. I built this. It's kind of like, it's an LED box. And you can play little animations on it with USB. I don't really know, to be honest, what this is good for, but I love it. And one thing I find particularly interesting about that is that I actually had this shit made in China, and the PCBs, so basically like those green, box, the green box with the LEDs on top, I had them made. And the process is actually really simple. You have to obviously engineer the electronics, but then you can just send them basically with an email to China. And if you want to pay the price for overnight shipping, you get the little LED box in your mail in the next day. And I think this kind of like underscores this idea of the democratization of media perfectly, because like, I mean, how crazy is that? That I made this on a computer and I sent it off, and now I have something I can actually touch with my hand. So this is, I'm gonna go into hyperdrive. Woo, hyperdrive! Woo! Oh, that actually really looks cool. Yeah. So like I said, I'm just gonna put back the desktop here. Kind of juggling all the buttons at the same time. You crazy streaming world. Yeah, I built another thing, also really cool. Cyber glove. Okay, hold on. I have to do the galaxy thing again for this. Cyber glove. Here, same idea. LEDs, and okay, just so it should actually blink. Yeah. Woo. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's kind of, I don't know, fashion icon. I have no idea what I'm doing really, but I love it. And again, this is an invitation to learn together. So if you're into that shit, then just join us. I don't know, on Twitch or whatever, and join the conversation. And another project. This is kind of like the only project really I'm going to talk about a little bit in this presentation or something. Let's see where I have it. I wanted to share with you, which is a little bit ironic actually that we're talking about this here, because it's this one, 1,000 clouds per second. So while I was doing those projects, I just showed you the LEDs and the hardware stuff. I was curious, well, what else is it that I could build or that would make sense to build, which is not made digitally, but it actually has like an exhibition character. So a few friends of ours, friends of me and we came up with this idea, because the thing is that, and this is obviously accelerating now like crazy in the new Corona times, is that the cloud, I'm just gonna, became a metaphor, but basically the idea is that the CO2 pollution from digital services like the internet is rising like crazy. And obviously, even if the Corona situation is gone, we're not going to return to anything resembling normal, but this is, just going to be just as crazy with climate change. And actually the whole, cloud produces a lot of that. So one thing I think what the issue of climate change is that it's so hard to fathom, because we are luckily not feeling the consequences yet in our first world countries. So the problem is basically that you can't see it, even though you know it, you can't see it. So we were thinking, well, how about we are gonna actually build an actual cloud that you can go in, and this is what we are proposing to do. So this is kind of like an installation we want to do, and you can actually, this because this is what the actual cloud looks like. It's a cable under the ocean. So again, this is an invitation to participate. Like, if you like the theme, if you like the idea, get in touch. Maybe we can build it together, and maybe we can kind of like join forces regarding that. So this is just a visualization, and inside you would see basically the number of clouds. So basically the idea is that the volume, the actual volume of this cloud, which you see, you can fit like 5 persons in there, times 1,000 per second is emitted by the internet. So that much CO2 is actually emitted. And now, because we're all streaming right at this moment, probably more than that. But basically, this is the idea. And we did use this is AR to visualize it. So this is the actual size of the thing, and we didn't build it yet, but it's like an AR visualization. And AR is obviously something I'm very interested in as well. And you can look at AR at just like crazy bunny ears, like, hello, hello. Which is obviously, stupid. If this is what you're looking at, is like a snap lens, and Instagram or whatever lenses are the same idea. But this to me is just like a step in between, and I think everyone working in that field kind of agrees that this could be the next paradigm of how to interact with the digital space, right? So that you have basically not any physical interface anymore in terms of like a keyboard or a mouse or a touchscreen, but you wearing embedded devices or glasses which embed AR content. And the bunny ears are kind of a step towards it. And I've been like super busy in the Facebook AR world, right? Like hyperdrive to Facebook, and been just playing with this Spark AR tool. And I just want to show you something which kind of ties in nicely with the beginning of the talk. So this is a shader I've done in Spark AR, which again is a wave. And then when I researched the stuff, it kind of hit me, right? Like this is the same shit I've been doing for basically 30 years, and have been working on the same stuff. And this is another thing I want to share with you as an idea, is that learning is always valuable, right? Like, so no matter what you learn, it, in my experience, will always come back. So learning that stuff I did for those old school computers, something went wrong. Oh, this is probably a sign. You would think, well, I mean, how is this relevant to what I'm doing? Or, how is this relevant to anything? But actually, it stays like that. So that would be my last quote, and I'm going to call it, everything you learn is valuable. Valuable. Okay, I misspelled it. Okay, fuck it. Doing it live. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about these days. And starting off with animation and motion graphics, it felt in the early days when I started doing that, it felt like motion graphics was the cool shit. Everyone wanted it. No one knew how to do it. And that was a lot of fun. And now it kind of feels like, oh yeah, we don't have money, let's put animation to it. So this is kind of how I feel about CGI in these days, unfortunately, because I love it. Yeah, so anyway, thanks again for having me. I think we have like 3 tweetable quotes. So let's maybe just together go forward in time. Where should we go? Maybe 2025, I would say. And then thanks again, and see you soon.